Hello, I'm Paul Provencio, and today is the 10th of October, 2019. The password is kitten. To teach or not to teach? That is the question. Education is the key to civilization, from the first spark of fire to the vast technology of this modern age. The pioneers of civilization are our educators. Therefore, I would like to encourage young prospective historical educators to find new ways to relate to your students the importance of history. I am one of those prospective educators, a dreamer who wants to see humans ascend to the next level of development. I have studied a great deal of history and have observed the effect education has on everything from culture to science. Young people today are distracted by many aspects of our society, making it harder and harder for them to focus on the study of history. They feel history is in the past and can't possibly affect their life. However, this cannot be farther from the truth. A need for creative educators have come. Educators who can find new ways to inspire young students and make history great again. With the advent of smartphones, a personal computer held right in the palm of your hand, young people have access to information like never before with the swipe of their finger. However, this power is wasted on platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. A study in the Journal of Information stated that students who use social media on average had a much lower GPA due to the time devoted to these platforms. How are we going to get through to those who already have their heads buried in the virtual sand of social media? Speaking of heads in the sand, the politics of today have torn this country in two, making even the smallest joke or phrase demonized. This PC culture makes even the most knowledgeable individual powerless by scrutinizing their words down to their very core. History is being erased due to this politically correct system and must be remedied. If we're ever to progress, educators must find a way to teach our young people to work together, building a new world, yet remembering the mistakes of the past. The young people today are not given the responsibility and accountability that their predecessors had experienced. The influence of the modern society has weakened the character of many of these young individuals, making it less likely to achieve their goals, if they even have them. Educators that creatively teach students why one should be respectful, responsible, and accountable through history can give an entire generation a behavioral makeover. As we have lost these virtues over the years, so too do the institutions follow, lowering their standards to accommodate these modern times. Grade inflation has been increasing for many years, making it easier and easier to achieve higher grades. This is due to the institution's view of students, seeing them more as customers than as academics. According to data in a study by Stuart Rochester, the average GPA of four-year college students in 1930 was 2.3, and in 2006, 3.1 and climbing. In earlier generations, the bar was set high, encouraging high achievement ambition. However, the increase isn't because students were getting smarter, but the weakening of the institutions. Grade inflation is not the only thing impeding today's educators, but also the quality of education. According to the Pew Research Center, the United States ranks 25th in reading and science and 40th in mathematics. Innovative educators can improve academic ratings, enlightening the world for generations to come by understanding the past. And now we must look to the future, because as written in the Bible, a generation may come and go, but the earth will abideth forever. The world is getting stranger every day, and if we're going to survive the future, we must remember the past. With fears of disasters, climate change, overpopulation, and war, we must find a new way to lead this next generation to a new tomorrow, and education is again the key. Using beneficial examples of the past, students can learn to work together and prepare lest these fears come to fruition. A study of history will give students societies to venerate and examples to follow when the situation becomes dire. With overpopulation as a global epidemic, the only action is better education, giving us another example of its effect on society. Throughout history, as a society becomes more civilized, their birth rate drops and citizens begin to live longer. It's only a matter of time before we are faced with a true Statue of Liberty in the sand moment like Rome did before us. In the words of Voltaire, history is ridden with the sounds of silken slippers walking down the stairs and wooden shoes walking up. If the next generation is to find this new tomorrow, we must guide them and teach them to work together through their differences. As Lincoln famously said, a house divided cannot stand. Educators are needed who do not inflame these differences, but mend them. For these reasons, I implore those prospective educators of history to continue your struggle to change this coming dawn. Continue your struggle because of the distractions this brave new world poses. Stand strong against the plummeting standards of the society we live in. And finally, mend differences to prepare future generations for an uncertain tomorrow. The future lies in the hands of these educators, for they are the key to our civilization, its past, its present, and its future. Come forward, wielding history as a double-edged sword, using one edge to understand where we came from, and the other to understand where we're going. This heirloom of knowledge must be passed on, because we can't do this alone. It's up to you, the next generation of educators, to pass this torch. As Will Durant said, intellect is a vital force in history, but it can also be a dissolvent and destructive power. Out of every 100 new ideas, 99 will probably be inferior to the traditional responses which they propose to replace. Thank you very much. I'm Paul.